Welcome to StoryUp. This is a long-form space for honest conversations about stories. The ones we live inside, the ones we carry for years, and the ones that continue shaping us even after they become books. I'm Dr. Marina Rivera, founder of Full Circle Press. I work closely with authors at many stages of their story's life, before a story is written, while it's being shaped, and after it's released into the world. StoryUp exists because I believe that stories don't begin or end with a book. They shape how we see ourselves, how we make meaning, and how we move through the world, often long before they're written and long after they're shared. Here, I reflect on what it means to steward stories with care, responsibility, faith, and discernment, sometimes on my own and sometimes in conversations with authors whose stories are already out in the world. If you're holding a story that matters or living with the one that's still unfolding, you're in the right place. So I am excited about today's topic, but if I'm 100% transparent, I'm a little convicted by it too, because I believe that this topic applies to not only book writing, but really anything that you take on that requires a significant amount of effort. This Story Up project. Uh, I've made the commitment to 100 videos. I think this is video 8, and it already feels like I'm in like the middle of the thing. And so today I want to talk about something that happens to almost everyone who starts writing a book or, again, embarks on any sort of challenge of any particular length. So you start and you probably feel motivated, inspired, you have some clarity of purpose. Maybe you even feel a little unstoppable. And then somewhere in the middle, you start to stall out. So the momentum fades, the pages stop coming, and what felt maybe fun or at least like joy-filled in some way kind of, again, just kind of stalls. And you find yourself wondering, like, what happened to me? And so if that sounds familiar, maybe I'm here to just say maybe nothing happened to you. Maybe something just happened in the process, and you're not alone. Right? Because this isn't just about book writing. Like I said, I think in any sort of meaningful pursuit, a dream, a calling, a business, a relationship, a major life change, starting is exciting, but the middle is where the real work lives. Because in the beginning, that motivation can often carry you because you're fueled by possibility. You're imagining the finished book, the impact, the transformation. You start talking to people. Oh, I'm writing a book. People give you a lot of positive reinforcement. But motivation is like adrenaline in that it's powerful, but it's also temporary. And eventually it wears off. And what usually replaces that adrenaline and early motivation is actually uncertainty. And you might start asking some harder questions like, is this good enough? Do I actually know what I'm doing? Is anybody going to care? Can I really finish this? And I think that it's also important to realize that when it comes to, again, anything like creative, like a book writing or a video series like this, most people don't stop because they run out of ideas. We think that's what's stopping us, but actually we stop because we run into some sort of resistance. And this resistance can show up in ways that I think can kind of sneak up on us, because what will happen is like suddenly everything else feels urgent. Like you get busy, you get tired, you start like researching 20 ways to market a book instead of actually writing. You tell yourself like, well, I just need the right time. I just need this season to shift, or I need this thing to kind of fall off so then I have time to write. Or what happens is you might hit a section of the book that feels very messy or feels like emotional or unclear. And so instead of pushing through, you pause. And let me say this, like, a pause is not always a bad thing. Like maybe when we get stuck, maybe the most spiritual thing we can do in that moment and the most helpful thing we can do is to pause, to rest, to step away for a bit, right? Sometimes that is the right thing to do. And other times it's not. And I can't tell you like when it's right and when it's not. But I think that when the pause starts to stretch into weeks or months or sometimes even years, it just begs an important question. Like, what is really happening here? And so what I would just like to share with you today is that getting stuck in the middle doesn't mean that you necessarily chose the wrong goal or the wrong book, because that can happen too. It's like we get stuck and then we just jump to another thing. I know I've done this, a full transparency, in wellness programs before. I get stuck in the middle and then I'm like, well, this must just not be working. And then I just stop and do something else. But maybe we chose the wrong goal, but oftentimes I don't think that's it. I just think you've moved beyond that point of excitement and into something that looks more like commitment. And honestly, commitment isn't always a whole lot of fun. Because this is really where the vision becomes, I think, some harder work. It's also where the fears tend to surface. So maybe in your book writing, maybe it's the fear of being seen, the fear of getting it wrong, the fear of finishing and then having to share it, the fear of feeling like an imposter, like, who am I to write this? Who is going to care? And also just fear that comes with the acknowledgement, I think, that sometimes finishing is actually scarier than starting. And so if you find yourself here, what helps you move forward? I'm going to put forth a couple things that might help you. First of all, I always pray for discernment. God, what is this here? What is this resistance? What is this fear? What is this pause here to teach me? And then the next thing I do is just like normalize the middle, because like every meaningful project is going to have a middle. So what if we just said, this is just a part of the thing? It's not the beginning. It's not the end. It's the middle. Just because I'm here doesn't mean I should quit. Maybe it's just a sign that I'm doing something actually real. And so I would say pray, get some discernment on what is this here to teach me, and then just normalize that this is just a part of the process. And then the third thing I would do is I would shrink the next step, because what often happens in the middle is we think we have to solve the entire book today. Like, okay, I've got to figure out my next 12 chapters and a full marketing plan and my speaking career and all the things. No, I don't think so. I think most often what's going to be the most helpful here is not solving the entire book, not getting clarity on even every chapter, but just doing the next right step that's going to give you some small forward movement. Write a paragraph, write one scene, capture an idea before it disappears. Because what can happen then is like this progress then will compound. And then the fourth thing I would do is reconnect with your why. So why did you start this book? Why did you feel called to write it? Who are you hoping that it will serve? What burden or message wouldn't leave you alone? Because when motivation fades away, like that beginning motivation fades, purpose can carry us, right? Like purpose of the pursuit. And oftentimes purpose is a lot steadier than emotion. And so it can be a better like guidepost or guide, for lack of a better word. And then the fifth thing I would say is to get some support, get some community around you, because writing a book can be incredibly isolating. When you're alone in your own head, those doubts can actually get louder. And so sometimes we think like, oh, I just need to be more disciplined, but maybe you just need some more perspective, some more structure, some more support, someone walking alongside you, whether that be, again, getting in a writer's community. We have one called the Author Circle, where we come together every week. We talk about, our gratitude, our writing updates. We bring questions forth. We share writing that we're working on and get feedback. And then also there's other ways to get support. There's also one-on-one author coaching. We do that as well. Our team does. So I see the benefit of that. But get someone walking alongside you in some way, because most unfinished books are not abandoned because you don't have something good to say, or you don't have the talent, or even like the perseverance to see it through. It just gets abandoned because you find yourself feeling really alone in it when it gets hard. But I think what's hopeful is that just because you're stuck doesn't mean it's the end of the story, unless you choose to make it that. It can just be a moment, and momentum can be rebuilt, and clarity can return, and you can re-enter the work right where you left off. You don't have to start over. You just have to start again, I think. And so if you're in the middle of writing your book, or if you're stuck in any sort of meaningful goal, if you needed permission to take the next small step today, like, here you go. If you needed a little bit of encouragement to know you're not alone in this, it happens to everybody. I hope that this encouraged you. And again, I'm in the middle of a couple of things that feel pretty ambitious right now, but these 100 videos feel a little ambitious. They feel hard to me. I'd much rather write than I would come on talk, or I'd much rather like even If I'm going to come on camera, I'd rather be like teaching to a group of people in like real time, not just staring at this green little camera light on my computer. I find this really weird and uncomfortable for me, but I also know it's what I've been called to do. I'm not exactly sure why, but I do feel like the why of it will reveal itself if I just continue to show up in obedience. Um, and so, yeah, take the next small step today. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be super dramatic either. Just take the next small, faithful step. Check in with somebody, let them know what you're doing. I texted a friend this morning and I said, okay, I'm going to record a video today and I'll check in when it's done. Because finished books, finished projects aren't completed by people who never get stuck. They're just completed by people who just keep coming back. And so, keep coming back to your projects, keep coming back to the StoryUp space if you find it helpful. If you did watch a video that you found helpful, share it, please. It would mean a lot to me. And also feel free to leave a comment below if anything today resonated with you. If you don't find us here, find me and my team here. You can also find us over at fullcirclepress.org. And I would love to talk with you about your book writing dream, about where you are in the process. And if you're feeling stuck in the middle, that can actually be a great time to reach out for some support. Until next time, I am Marina. This is a StoryUp project, and I am so glad that you're here.